I guess first off, just tell us a little about yourself, some biographical information.
Sure, you bet. Well, my name's Sara Dickson, and I've worked here in Columbia for the National Newspaper Association since December 2005. I've earned my master's degree in public affairs from the Truman School of Public Affairs here on the University of Missouri campus in 2009. Worked my way through that degree as I worked for the association, and before that, I got my bachelor's in in business administration from Columbia College, 4.0 GPA, and worked while for the majority of receiving that degree, evening classes. And a lot of volunteer and community experience, organizations such as the Honor Flight and such, and that's the basics pretty much on me.
Okay. So what pushed you in the direction of running for school board, I guess?
Well, I had a friend who came up to me and said, I think that you would do a great job on the school board, and he's very concerned with at the heart of everything, people that have values and are going to stay true to their commitments. And so he said that he felt that that's what I would be able to do and encouraged me to run.
Tell me a little bit about those commitments and values.
Well, I'm running, as many have heard, as Christian conservative committed, and I believe that it's very important to have a voice for those values on our school board.
Okay. So what sort of measures would you maybe be supportive of? What kind of things would changes, I guess, would you be interested in?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the biggest thing so far as conservative goes would be I am the only candidate that is not supportive of measures that will increase taxes. Very concerned with Washington, D.C. Our current president, he's spent more in his term in office than all of our other presidents combined. That's huge. Very concerned with, even though it's a school board position, I'm very concerned with looking at the bigger environment and how those are going to affect our community and ultimately impact their ability to pay more taxes and such. I think that eventually, with that much debt that we've got in Washington, we're going to be feeling that, and we're already feeling the impacts of we've got unemployment, we have inflation, and interest rates are rising rapidly. And so I believe that we need to take a fiscal road to responsibility at all levels of government, and that includes the school board.
Right. And so another thing that's going on down in Jefferson City right now, they're talking about teacher tenure, and they're talking about basically these evaluations that maybe would be used to replace that. Where do you stand on the use of teacher tenure and that idea, I guess, in Columbia?
Absolutely. Well, from parents that I've spoken with, what their concern is with teacher tenure, I've gotten out, I've spoken to parents, I've spoken to some students, I've spoken to taxpayers and some teachers, and what the big concern is with parents is, and even some teachers, is teacher tenure is a concern for many, because when there are poor teachers, when there are bad teachers, parents are concerned that the current process or the tenured process, that keeps it really doesn't afford the opportunity to quickly get those teachers out of the classroom and away from the kids. So that impact can be a longer lasting impact negatively on the children's learning. Whereas if they're not tenured and you don't have all that paperwork and that lengthy process to go through, you can remove them quicker. Now, that is not to say that we do not have excellent teachers, and most of our teachers are excellent. And so I believe that that it can't just solely be so far as this kind of segues into the pay for performance type part of the other legislation that's out there. And I believe, again, with that teachers that work hard must be rewarded, and that we should have some sort of a system in place that is going to reward those teachers that put in more effort to help our kids become better. I've looked at some districts that have implemented pay for performance, and what the results that I have seen is that in those districts, the kids achieve more when they have that particular system in place. And so, hard work must be rewarded. And I think that it's the bottom line is this going to help our children be able to be educated more and to learn better? And if the system, and then also how are we spending our money effectively, and how are we ensuring that we have teachers that are that we don't have teachers that are going to negatively impact our kids in the classroom for a long duration of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this issue of some teachers that maybe aren't up to snuff. This is something I recently talked to Kathy Steinhoff. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a math teacher at Jefferson Junior High. She just won a major national award for teaching excellence, and she was pointing to this as one of the issues that she sees that is really just pivotal to having a strong education system in Columbia. But I asked her the question. I'll ask you the same thing. In Jefferson City, they're talking. I've heard some when they're talking about budget cuts. They're saying that this is a tough time to be a student. Maybe you're not getting some of the benefits, the same kind of education you may have been able to get 10 years ago. Do you think that's true? She thought it was true. She thought that some of these cuts are stretching teachers thin. Do you think that's true? And what do you think can be done, to adjust and make do at this right now, I guess?
Well, absolutely, and that's an excellent question. Just as it is in, of course, in any workforce, when there are cuts at a certain point, when you cut you'll have extra workload on who's remaining. So that's absolutely right, and that affects. It will affect the environment and your attitude and everything. I believe that what I really like is, like, for instance, Columbia College, the partnership that they have recently mentioned. It's been in the press about their partnership where they'll have students in their classrooms helping and being as teachers' aides. In return, then our teachers can get master's classes for free. I love those private partnerships and nonprofit partnerships that get teachers in the classroom to be able to help and aid and assist, but it's not extra tax dollars. So I believe those types of partnerships are ones that we need to look into furthering and developing deeper.
I think there's more opportunities for those in our community.
I believe so, and especially, like, for instance, on the University of Missouri campus, being able to have guest speakers, and people in the classroom that are doctors or that are doctoral students that are seeking degrees in science and engineering and things like that. Having those people in the classroom, maybe even dressed in doctor's garb, and it will be an inspiration for our kids too, to help them be able to see, okay, well, this is why I need to study math. This is why I need to study science, because I could be a doctor one day. And so I believe those types of solutions and partnerships are wonderful when it comes to inspiring our children and ensuring that they're learning and knowing why it matters to study.
Another controversial issue that probably will be coming up here, or is coming up, is collective bargaining for teachers. Where do you stand on that? Do you think they should have that right? Is that their right? What's your approach on that, I guess? Well,
my approach with collective bargaining is that I'm not a supporter of collective bargaining. One of the reasons is because generally, unions want to demand everything is equal for everyone. Salaries, everything, they want to have that. And again, I believe that teachers that work harder should be rewarded for that hard work. Here in America, so much of what we've become, what we're founded as, and why we are at the place that we are with such a bountiful and blessed nation, is because of hard work. And I just think that we need to always ensure that we are recognizing there are always going to be some that work harder than others. And I really think that we can't just standardize. We need to be able to look individually on people's performance and on their efforts.
Sure. I guess right now we're going through the redistricting process in Columbia. We have a new high school coming, which is exciting for many. But what do you think some of the important issues are going to be in that process, as far as making sure there's continuity for what students are, that are in between right now, and are making sure they're still going to be able in their same schools? What are some of the is that an important issue, or are there other issues that are more important? Transportation, I guess. What are some of the important values you're going to need to be looking at when we go through this process?
Sure. Excellent question. And that there's a lot to look at with that. I'll just touch on a couple of things. One is, as I've been going door to door and speaking with people here in the community, one thing that a couple that I visited had to say is they're concerned because they're thinking that they may even have to move depending on where the boundaries lie. And they really don't feel like they're getting as much communication as they'd like to get, because they really don't know exactly kind of what's going on, and that's what they were wanting me to help them find out is kind of where is this at. what is the situation? And so one thing with that, and as well as everything else, is I believe with change or with anything, we're as board members, as public servants, we have to ensure that we answer to the taxpayers, we answer to the citizens. We need to ensure that we have effective lines of communication. I think that the district's doing a very good job